Hello, hope you all are enjoying the ACP Internal Medicine Meeting 2021. And thank you for visiting the Global Engagement booth. I am Mukta Panda, Professor of Medicine, a practicing internist and Assistant Dean for Wellbeing and Student Education at the University of Tennessee. I'd like to share some parts of my journey with you. It was spring of 2020, and I was supported by a wonderful family, 2 grown teenage children. Professionally, I had completed 3 residencies, a fellowship. I was department chair, professor of medicine, and surrounded by a very committed, dedicated, and effective team of faculty, residents, learners, and staff. Many said I was leading the perfect life, and some even went on to say that I was successful. If that was true, then why did I have this weight on my shoulders? Why did I feel constantly overwhelmed that I could never get my life together? Everybody else had it together. I was constantly tired, couldn't focus, couldn't get the creative juices flowing. But more importantly, I was scared. I felt like I would be found out, that people would realize that I was a fake, I was an imposter, and really not worthy enough. This place was really scary. I continued to do all I had to do, but it took immense energy. I was irritable and snappy all the time and felt like I was a complete failure both in my personal and professional life. This was my state when I was surprised to receive an award and an invitation to a retreat from the ACGME. I decided to attend. The retreat offered a safe space, a circle of trust with 9 other academic and educational leaders. They invited us to reflect on what was it that got us to where we were. What is it that gives us meaning and joy each day? What was our passion? What was our purpose? And how were we connecting that in everything we did? This reflection was very painful and hard for me, but it was very revealing and transformational. I realized that in my busyness, I was coming from a place where I was reacting rather than finding that connection to meaning and joy in all I did. I was giving to others without making giving myself a priority, leaving me exhausted and depleted rather than coming from a place of abundance. I realized that to be able to care for others in a way that I wanted to, I needed to care for myself, that self-care was not selfish. The other revealing fact was that in that safe space, I felt I could be who I was. I didn't feel like a fake or an imposter. I could show up with all my weaknesses and vulnerabilities without the fear of being ridiculed. That felt really a place where I could thrive. I felt liberated. I felt like I belonged. I really came back with the resolve to make sure that I took care of myself, that I found time to connect meaning and joy in all I did, to exercise, to reconnect with my hobbies. However, I got into the busyness of the work environment. I was working 8 hours a day and it felt like I was swimming against the tide. In spite of all my best intentions, I realized that feeling of overwhelm coming on again. That made me think that I needed to really find these opportunities to recharge and rejuvenate while at work, to find that meaning and connection and reflection time in safe spaces with everything I did. And as a leader, I needed to make that same culture available for all the people in the department. I needed to create that safe space for reflection, create a culture of well-being by creating a culture of belonging. Armed with a group of committed cheerleaders from the department, we started on this mission. We knew it was countercultural. We knew we had to build trust because I strongly believe that culture change only happens at the speed of trust. As we were making slow progress, in 2016, I was faced with a tragic event. I found the body of my friend and colleague who had jumped off the 2nd floor of the parking garage. My friend had ended his very fruitful life in despair, having been systematically and relentlessly devalued over the years by the very career to which he had given his heart, mind, body, and soul. I wanted to know why. I looked for answers. What could I have done differently? How could I make sure this never happened again? I felt anger. Why did we let this happen? Was this a hazard of our healing profession? I wrestled with the meaning and value of our work, our lives, and our calling as physicians. Was the work environment so toxic with its constant focus on volume, speed, and productivity over quality, humanity, and building relationships? I also realized that it was a point of self-care to know that one can't be solely responsible for a system. To promote a culture of well-being needs a partnership with the organizations coupled with self-care and colleague care. I started writing in a way to give voice. My book, Resilient Threads, Weaving Joy and Meaning into Well-Being, was published last year in February of 2020. This is really not just my book. It is a book of so many voices and a way to offer deep gratitude and admiration for the many that have been so vital in my life, in who I am today, how I strive to live my life and face what it brings each day. I hope in particular to address and give voice to groups that face overwhelming and unprecedented stress, exhausted professionals, especially in healthcare, who are burdened with responsibilities separate from patient care. I give voice to women in fatiguing mazes of complexity as they endeavor to integrate and balance life demands across roles, functions, and culture in our fragmented world. These issues are only magnified many-fold for international medical graduates and immigrants, something I have witnessed firsthand. This book is a celebration of culture, tradition, and heritage, something that I'm truly proud of. I'd like to invite each of you to share your stories. Your stories are powerful. They are your stories, but they are unique. And they have universal resonance. They help build connection and community. They help build belonging. I found this to be very true, especially during the interwoven and interconnected pandemics that we are facing. Starting a blog, Resilient Reflections, early during COVID-19 was an open platform for people to share their experiences, how they were coping, or anything else that showed up, to create a community of belonging. Many of you have pledged the Hippocratic Oath, and I'm sure all of you are familiar. The Hippocratic Oath is timeless. However, our healthcare system today calls for a partnership between physicians and system, with an invitation for care for self and colleagues, while working together in a system, creating a culture of efficient patient care, a culture of well-being. I'd like to offer to you all the Oath to Self-Care and Well-Being, which was published by Margaret Lowe, Kevin O'Brien, and myself, and other supporting members of CHARM. These 7 tenets call for exactly the same. They call for this partnership as a reminder that we have to care for ourselves and our colleagues while building partnership with our organizations. I'd like to offer special thanks to the American College of Physicians for making a culture of well-being a priority. It has a number of pertinent and applicable resources at the Global Engagement site and the Professional Fulfillment and Well-being site. The Internal Medicine Emotional Support Hub offers curated resources to support both individual and organizational strategies for physicians during stress and crisis. Please take time to explore these resources. So for me, it is self-care with an intentional ritual of reflection and affirming and nurturing relationships that help me feel connected and give meaning to what I do, to give and receive belonging. Because for me, it's really not about being well or even thriving, but belonging. To me, to be well is to be able to belong and give belonging. Thank you.